All right, it's 6 o'clock. I will call the fourth regular Common Council meeting to order. Will the clerk call the roll?
Alderperson Borse.
Here.
Alderperson Bremser.
Here.
Alderperson Close.
Here.
Alderperson Decker.
Here.
Alderperson Gravine.
Here.
Alderperson Heidemann.
Excused.
Alderperson Kelly.
Here.
Alderperson Menzer.
Here.
Alderperson Mitchell. Alderperson Perella.
Here.
There are 9 present.
Thank you. If folks could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alder Borse, is there a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting?
I move to approve the minutes from the third regular council meeting held on May 4th, 2026.
Second. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, state aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Minutes are approved. Item 5, we will be doing at a future meeting. Next, we have adopting the rules of the Common Council. Alder Borse.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the rules of the Common Council as amended.
Second. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this matter? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
There are 9 ayes.
That item is approved. City Clerk, anyone for public forum this evening?
There are 2 speaking tonight. The first is Peter Mayer.
Peter, if you want to state your name, address, and the item you're speaking on, and you'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Peter Mayer. I live at 1314 North 5th Street, and I'm speaking on agenda item 14, which is part of the consent agenda, the social media policy. We live in a challenging new age of social media and free speech. Write a policy wrong, and you risk the fear of Orwellian centralized government controls or the risk of wildly inconsistent and improper organizational communication to the public. Thus, writing a social media policy requires extraordinary care and attention to detail. My comments relate only to the application of the proposed policy to personal private social media accounts of alders and members of city committees and commissions identified as city officials. By the language used in the policy, this proposed social media policy, as it applies to city officials, is Orwellian. If you are an alder or a member of a city committee or commission, listen closely. Your Facebook, Twitter, X, Snapchat, Instagram, or other private personal social media account can, at the choice of the city administration, be owned and forever under the future control of the city. Read section 11D, which states that your personal private social media account may transition to a municipal social media account if you carry out your duties. There's no criteria, qualifier, reference to, or linkage with how you use your private social media account, either in this section or elsewhere in the policy, as causing the transition to a MSMA. Again, if you carry out your duties, by city choice, it becomes an MSMA. Section 6C also classifies a private campaign social media account of an alder as a MSMA. Upon designation, you must provide username, password, access to your private social media accounts, including campaign accounts, to the city administrator. That's in 7A. You may only use the accounts for city purposes in furtherance of city missions, goals, and objectives. That's in 7C. You may no longer post non-city personal matters. That's in 8A, Romanet 3-4. Upon termination of office, you must surrender the account to the city and allow the city to then change the password to its own control. That's in 7I, along with other controls that are beyond acceptable in a nation of free speech. Alders, I ask you to read the words on the paper and the ink revisions that I sent to you in section 11D and section 6. Don't just listen to the city attorney's statement, because last week I was embarrassed to hear her wrongly inform Alder Perella about the language in the policy. Read the words yourself. It's not complicated, but words on paper rather than personal feelings determine the meaning of written documents. Is this a deep state conspiracy to gain control, shut off opposition, steer votes to select alder candidates, and prevent free speech? Or just bad lawyering? I'm hopeful that this is simply a sloppy effort to quickly get a long overdue policy in place. But after 4 direct communications with the city attorney over 10 days to try to help her address this, it remains before you as written. This is not a document that can be careless or risk perception of an Orwellian control of social media. When it comes to regulating speech, it's best to draft cautiously and avoid unforced errors. Therefore, I urge you to send this back to committee for proper drafting. Happy 250th America, still the land of free speech, as long as we all work diligently to protect that right. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. City Clerk, anyone else?
Michael Burnett.
Mike, name, address, item you're speaking on, and 5 minutes.
Mike Burnett, 611 North Water Street. And I'm speaking on what Peter was speaking on. And I am the ultimate free speech guy. I would throw myself on a sword for free speech. And I am not upset by this document. I wanted to be. I want to be, it's like, I looked at it, I'm kind of like, you have to have something. In this day and age, you have to have guidelines. Nothing's going to be perfect. You have to go with something. I know if you adopt it, rewriting it may or may not happen. But you have to have something. You have to respect the fact that you have to be focused and look at yourself as a team. I mean, you are the 10. You're our Roman council. You're what you are. You have our knowledge. You have our trust. You write our laws. If you don't like our laws, you can write the new ones and you can change the stuff. But as far as this goes, what's more important is for you guys to gather your voice. Back in the day, the council made extensive use of WSCS, where they were getting their messages out, and you don't have to worry about it. Because when you start thinking of media as platforms, social, this or that or the other, there's no difference. It's just media. You have wire, air, paper, that's it. And you get your message across and you have noise. What Sheboygan's been dealing with primarily for the last year is the noise of data centers. Data centers. We're not getting a data center. We can't get a data center because we can't even get the bits here if we wanted to. Yes, there's a good chance we might have one in the future. Yes, it's something that's worth discussing. But more to the point, I think we purchased some questionable software, hardware recently. And I mentioned to one council member a couple weeks ago that I thought that it looked like we were buying Celebrite with a J grant. And I'm pretty sure we did. And we may or may not have, and if you don't know what it is, data centers mean nothing compared to that. But what I have to say to you guys is, you basically are dealing with, you have your entire municipal code, right? Every city law, this, that, and whatever. You have all your document history that. Your new website has it up there fairly nice, but it's still a website where everything's in PDFs, where information sharing goes to die. It's a nice printing format and stuff. But basically, you can flatten that all out. You can take your entire Municode of law. You can take all your documents that you have on your site. You can make sure there's totally air-gapped. You can put it on one totally kick-ass high-end Mac server. Put it in a room that would serve you guys. I'm talking a box, small box, for under 20 grand. You could have multiple terminals. You could all have laptops connected to it, whatever. And the entire corpus of information would be nothing but city-vetted, verified information. So there's no problems with anything being false data. If you want to ask it on a certain document, within 3 seconds, it would generate everything, like in Minority Report, and you would be able to do that. And if you want, and there's no ongoing upkeep, because literally it would all be run internally and air-gapped, and you would just put another thing, and that way you guys would have all the information you want, and it would be up to you if you want to share it. And it's something that I've been working on, and it's one of those, and there's other systems, but it's like, but basically, this blows anything away, and it's going to be what it is at such a cheap cost. I use it to do my stuff right now at virtually zero cost to me, where if I take you wouldn't believe the analysis it gave just from tonight's meeting, and I'm like, oh my God, just the detailed breakdown that it automatically gave me, automated, on the car, the fire chief's vehicle and that, and I'm kind of like, just like, Jesus, sounds unbelievably fantastic, and honestly, I think it's cheap for what you're getting. It sounds crazy when you hear the description, but it goes into it all in detail. But bottom line is, you could ask it about Marina, it has the entire corpus. And on the social media thing, you have to adopt something one way or another. And I can understand Peter's concern, and everybody's concerned how you implement it and whatever, but somebody's got to have control and you got to have rules. But don't be afraid to talk, but you can't all just come and talk and gang up on people. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Mike. City Clerk, anyone else?
There is no one else.
All right. All right, just one quick announcement for this evening. So this week is National Public Works Week, so I'm going to ask Director Peterson to come on up. So whereas public works professionals work diligently to maintain and improve infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vitally important for our community and the well-being of the people of Sheboygan, and whereas infrastructures and these services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of the public works professionals, and whereas it is the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Sheboygan to gain knowledge of and maintain the ongoing interest and understand the importance of the public works and public works programs and services that they all provide. So this year, 2026, marks the 66th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. So I, as the mayor, do hereby proclaim this week as National Public Works Week. So, Travis? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have to say, with the staff of over 90 personnel, this is not possible without them. Majority of them live in this community, and they really love what they do for the community. You may not always see them out there. They're not in the headlines or whatever, but they really work hard behind the scenes, collecting your trash. They don't always do the glorious jobs either, right? Filling potholes, repairing the streets, sewer work. But yeah, we have a great staff, and we are doing everything we can to continue to improve the infrastructure in the community, make it safer, more efficient, and preserve our parks. So yeah, thank you. I just want to thank all our staff. Thank you.
All right, next is the consent agenda, items 9 through 23. Alder Bors?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to accept and file all reports and adopt all resolutions.
Thank you. Any discussion on any of the matters on the consent agenda? Alder Bors?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to talk specifically about the social media policy that is listed on the agenda tonight. Obviously, we've had some public input and some questions that have been posed. This was discussed at the Finance Committee meeting last week, and I would just like to share, I think, my understanding of the document and what would qualify as a municipal account, and how the Alder accounts in particular, or any personal account, is distinctly different from that, and then invite Attorney Majerus to add any context to that or clarification. But based on the discussions that I've had thus far and the questions that were asked in the finance meeting last week, municipal accounts are intended to represent the city, whether that be the official website for the city of Sheboygan, or whether that be a website that the police department might have. It's specifically representing the city. As alders, when we have candidate accounts, or if we chose to have an official social media account as an alder after we were elected, we do not speak for the city or speak on behalf of the city, I guess I should say. We are elected officials. We represent, our constituents, but we are not speaking officially on behalf of the city with our communications. So any personal accounts that we may have would therefore not be subject to this, because the stipulation that is called out here is that it is representing the city officially or Meade Public Library officially. So I don't share the concerns about the way the policy is written, and I just want to ask if there's any clarification that you would like to provide, Attorney Majerus.
Thank you. Yeah, your assessment is correct. This policy is intended to guide those individuals who may have an opportunity or a platform to be seen as speaking on the city's behalf or on behalf of a department or division within the city. So if we have a social media platform for a neighborhood beat officer, for example, they're using that platform. There may only be a couple people that are posting content from the police department on that platform, but they're using it for their official duties, not necessarily for their campaign duties or as a personal social media page. So as an elected official, you have a unique situation, and you have kind of a mix of avenues by which you communicate with the public. You do that in the context of social media. You may have a personal social media page where you have accepted friend requests or sought out friend connections with constituents. You may also be balancing out that personal social media page with your personal relationships, and so you might have a mix of content in a personal social media page. On any given day, you might repost a post the city put out on a municipal social media page talking about a winter parking emergency. And you may follow that up with a photo of your children or grandchildren building a snowman. That's totally fine. That is still your personal social media account. If you create a social media account that is purporting to speak on the city's behalf, and you're in a capacity to speak on the city's behalf, then you are needing to make sure that your account follows this policy, that you are preserving records in compliance with the law and the city's records retention schedule, that you are turning over communications and records based upon lawful records requests. So if you're having private back and forth communications with a constituent on a personal platform, but the communications aren't about a personal matter, they're about something in your official capacity, right? I have a neighbor who has this really loud chicken and I'm not sure what to do about that. All right, here are some resources, here are some contacts within the city. That is an official communication that you'd have a duty to turn over, but that doesn't convert your social media account into a municipal social media account.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor?
Alder Kelly?
Yeah, just, I really appreciate that clarification. I just hope that could be reflected in the document that I was just reading. That section that talks about transitioning to city municipal account. I'm not seeing a place that the clarification that was just given is represented in the document. Personally, I would like to see that. So I'm not sure the best way to do that. I would imagine referring back to the committee would be the most appropriate way to accomplish that. So if possible, I would motion to refer this back to committee for further clarification.
Okay, thank you, Alder Kelly. So just a point of order for parliamentary sake, we need a motion first to remove it from the consent agenda and then a subsequent motion to refer it to committee.
I would motion to remove the social media policy from the consent agenda.
All right, moved and seconded to pull from the consent agenda by Alder Kelly, second by Perella. This goes right into, this is a non-debatable motion. Is there, all those in favor of removing it from the consent agenda for separate consideration, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on that. Do you have the sheets? So the motion at hand right now is to remove from the consent agenda. A yes would remove it from the consent agenda for separate consideration. A no vote would not remove it. So will the clerk call the roll?
Alderperson Bors?
Nay.
Alderperson Bremser? Alderperson Close? Alderperson Decker? Alderperson Gravine? Alderperson Kelly?
Yay.
Alderperson Menzer? Alderperson Mitchell? Alderperson Perella? There are 3 ayes and 6 nays.
Okay, so that motion does not pass. So we're back at the full consent agenda. Any further discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda? All right, seeing no more, the clerk will open the roll for all the consent agendas items.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, Mike was the second.
There are 9 ayes.
Okay, those items are approved. Next is item 24, resolution number 102627 by Alders Boris and Heidemann, authorizing the appropriate city officials to enter into an amendment for the professional services agreement entered into the Wendell Architects PC for construction management services related to the Public Safety Complex project. Alder Boris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to adopt the resolution.
It's been moved in second under discussion. We do have Robbie from Wendell here if anyone has questions, as well as AC Lubert from the fire department. So if there are any questions on this item. So with that, any discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, this was a roll call vote.
There are 9 ayes.
That item is approved. Next, item 25, resolution number 122426 by Alders Decker and Kelly, entering into an at-grade crossing of Wildwood Avenue as a public street with tracks of the Union Pacific Railroad. Alder Decker?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the resolution.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Alder Prella?
Yeah, I just would like to have someone unpack it again. And of course, I read the document, but I would like to have some more information about it.
Okay. City engineer?
Yes, Seiko Polymers is looking to expand the former Nemchoff into a new manufacturing facility for them. In order to do that, they need to reestablish the railroad crossing on Wildwood Avenue. This document is required by the Office of the Commissioner of Railroad to give staff the authority to file that petition on Seiko's behalf.
Thank you so much.
Any other discussion on this matter? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
There are 9 ayes.
All right, that item is approved. Next, we have resolution number 142627 by Alders Mitchell and Prella, authorizing the issuance of sale up to $2,971,943 for the water utility revenue bonds services for 2026, and providing for other details and conveyances with respect thereto and approvals related to financial assistance agreement. Alder Mitchell.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the resolution.
It's been moved and seconded, and we do have Superintendent Trueblood here as well. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Alderperson Bremser. There are 9 ayes.
All right, that's approved. Item 27, 28 will be referred to the Plan Commission. Alder Boris, we've exhausted our agenda. What is your pleasure?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move to adjourn.
Moved and second. All those in favor of adjournment, state aye. Aye. We're adjourned at 6:25. Good night, everybody.